it's John McCabe. Welcome to the show. And welcome to the John A. McCabe Show, where it's all about accelerating your authority in your business or field of expertise. And we do that by helping entrepreneurs, business owners, authors, experts, and speakers get seen, get heard, get noticed on any device, anywhere, anytime, in as little as 15 hours worth of effort, also known as the Authority Acceleration Blueprint. Now, I'm excited for today's show because I'm going to be joined in the studio by Ziyah Karmali, who is a local celebrity. Having lived in Edmonton for quite some time, it's been really hard to not notice my next guest. In the last few years, about 6 years or so, it seems she's everywhere I turn. From writing a column in the local newspaper to having her own segment on the morning breakfast TV show, and now being a weekend DJ on the Bounce 91.7 radio station right here in Edmonton. Now, since the age of 5, she remembers telling her mom that she was going to be famous someday and that her mom would be able to watch her on TV. Now, when Ziyah Karmali was approached with an offer to host her own morning segment on the show Breakfast TV in Edmonton, she jumped at the chance. Now, at that point, she had been writing a column in the Edmonton Examiner for about a year, Ziyah in the City, as she cleverly titled it, which became a cultural hub for unique happenings that Edmontonians otherwise wouldn't have known about. Now, in 2015, Ziyah completed her media trifecta by moving over to radio and started working at the Bounce radio station as a DJ between noon to 6 on the weekends. A versatile, driven, and very talented individual, Ziyah is aware of the challenges and struggles that us entrepreneurs have when it comes to starting a podcast or shooting a video or live streaming through things like Facebook or YouTube Live. Not from the technical standpoint, but by embarking into a new media without formal training or experience. Now, she has learned a great deal over the past 6 years from professionals both in front of the camera and behind the camera as well as in front and behind the mic, in order to get better a lot faster. Now, she's going to share with us some of the pro tips she's learned that can help you with your podcasts, videos, and live streaming that will make them look and sound more professional. I'm also going to talk to her about building your celebrity status, using social media, and engaging with her audience, all of which are parts of the Authority Acceleration Formula. Producing great content, distributing and engaging that content, and being consistent on a persistent basis are all aspects to accelerating your authority in your business or field of expertise. And Ziyah will help us make sure we're putting out some professional content and being effective with our distribution and engagement. So stick around, because when I come back, I'm going to be joined by my guest today, Ziyah Karmali. Hey, thanks for joining me on today's show, Business Strategy Tuesday, where I interview various experts about strategies that can help you grow your business and accelerate your authority in your business or field of expertise. Now, when it comes to accelerating your authority, strategies like podcasting, video, and live streaming are among some of the key strategies a person can do in order to create their celebrity status or their authority. For most people, being in front of a camera or mic is not comfortable. But today we're going to get some professional tips that will help us with our audio and video shows as well. Now, my guest is someone who spent the last 6 years learning how to work in 3 different mediums: print, TV, and radio. Educated to be a teacher, she had to quickly learn how to sound like a pro and look like a pro. Now she has a wide range of experience in different media and is here to share with us some pro tips to creating better podcasts, video, and live streams, as well as building your credibility, your celebrity status by distributing your content and engaging with your audience. So please help me by welcoming our featured guest today with likes, loves, shares, and a virtual flurry of thumbs up and heart icons across the screen for my guest today, Ziyah.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing well, Ziyah. Yourself?
I am great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for joining me. So you guys made it into the studio, no problem?
Yeah, we made it in. We treasured through the snow. It's a little bit of a snowfall. It wasn't happening last night for Halloween, so that's the most important part. But yeah, we made it here.
And how was your Halloween?
It was amazing. It was my daughter's first Halloween this year, so she dressed up as a little skunk.
I saw the pictures.
Yeah, and we got to eat all of her candy, so that was the best part. She's too young for that stuff.
Well, there's a bowl of candy right at the door on the way out, so she can take and help herself with all the candy she wants.
You got any Reese peanut butter cups? Because I claim those.
No. So there's no Reese peanut butter cups, so the rest will be for your daughter.
Okay, she can have them.
So Ziyah, before we get started, the first thing I like to do is, before we really get too far in the interview, is get the audience to learn a little bit more about you.
Okay.
So what I like to do is a speed round of 10 questions, and it's nothing you had to study for.
Okay.
And you're not going to be tested. These are just so people get to know a little bit more about you, personal as well as professional. So what I like everyone at home to do is just play along when I ask the question. Just type in your answer in chat and just see how they compare with Ziyah's. So if you're all set.
Let's do it.
Okay, so name a book that impacted your life the most.
You know what? I have like a mommy brain now, so everything I think about is with my child. We have a book that we read every day. It is called I Love You Through and Through.
Okay.
And it's just super sentimental to me. It touches my heart. It just talks about your love for your child. And
awesome.
Yeah. I guess I've read a lot of books, don't get me wrong, but a children's book. I Love You Through and Through. That's my favorite book.
Nice. So when you were a young girl, who was your celebrity crush? Excuse me.
When I was a young girl, well, I still have a celebrity crush.
Okay, who is it?
I'm not a young girl anymore, but Ryan Gosling.
Okay. You know, most of the people, guests I have on, I mean, they're in the era of saying like Farrah Fawcett and like that.
Well,
so
you guys know who Ryan Gosling is.
Well, they all know who Ryan Gosling is,
but
you're much younger than a lot of my guests. Let's just put it that way.
Or I look younger.
You look.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. So what book? Oh, you just named. So other than the mommy book, so what book, podcast, or show are you into right now?
I like a lot of reality TV. So you might not have heard about it, but obviously Ellen. I can't forget about Ellen. But I like to watch shows like Married at First Sight.
Okay.
Which is a journey about couples who literally get married at first sight. They're paired up by experts, and it follows them through a journey of 6 weeks where they get to decide if they stay married or not.
Yep.
And 90 Day Fiance. Those are the two shows I'm really into right
I've
now.
never heard of either of those, but I don't even have cable, so that's
On
probably
demand.
Oh, I don't even have that.
We'll get
I just have internet. So do you currently work with any business or professional coaches?
Not right now. I'm actually just finishing up my maternity leave. I have 18 days left before I go to work, but looks like we'll probably be doing something together, working on some projects in the near future.
Well, I hope to. We were talking before the show about some exciting things and potential pathway for you. So
for sure.
Maybe we'll do something in the real near future. So
definitely.
What's your favorite movie of all time?
My favorite movie of all time? Aladdin.
Aladdin?
Hands down.
Okay.
Aladdin. I thought I was Princess Jasmine growing up, so.
Well, you look like Princess Jasmine. Are you familiar with what masterminds are?
No. What is mastermind?
Mastermind is, the phrase was coined by Napoleon Hill.
Okay.
Who wrote the book Think and Grow Rich.
Right.
It's about a group of people that get together to help each other out, typically for a common purpose. So say a group of 10 entrepreneurs will get together and they help each other out on their businesses by bringing up challenges, struggles, and then people give advice as to how they think that they should handle them. So they're all working with each other to help each other grow their business.
That's awesome.
It's very powerful.
Yeah.
So I was just going to ask if you actually belong to any masterminds.
I do not.
You do not.
But
well, if we're gonna work together, then you're gonna belong to a mastermind because it's all about helping other people grow their businesses,
awesome.
as learning from people that have already done the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
It's great. So name a person, either dead or alive, who you'd most like to have lunch with.
Most like to have lunch with, dead or alive. Albert Einstein.
Oh, awesome. So what's your favorite type of vacation? Beach or adventure tour?
Adventure tour. Definitely adventure tour.
So what's the best adventure tour vacation you've been on so far?
I'd have to say scuba diving in Hawaii.
Okay.
Yeah, I love scuba diving anywhere in the world, really, but Hawaii was just amazing. We got to see a couple sharks from far away and some whales and it was amazing. And anything in Hawaii is amazing.
I always wanted to learn to scuba dive. I've been to some great places where scuba diving is amazing.
Yes.
I've been to Belize, but I didn't know how to scuba dive, and everyone's talking about going to the big the blue hole thing or whatever.
Yeah,
it is.
the lagoon. Yeah.
Yeah, and scuba diving there. So, but I think before I go to Australia, I'm going to learn to scuba dive.
Yes, for sure. We got the North Saskatchewan River right in our backyard. Okay, John, you got this.
So, what's the best business advice you've ever received?
The best business advice I've ever received. Trust yourself.
Okay.
Because a lot of people, shy and hesitate and, don't really have that confidence but listen to your gut.
Yep.
Trust what your gut's telling you and go for it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So the last question's a two-parter.
Okay.
So not what you consume all the time, but what is your favorite? So what's your favorite between water, beer, and wine? And what's your favorite between wings, pizza, and salad?
Beer and wings.
A beer and wing girl.
Hot wings.
Oh, girl after my own heart, I tell you. Beer and wings all the way. So, so after that beautiful introduction, is there anything that I missed?
No, I don't think so. Just
So is
I
there
feel old. I feel old. Like, and I've been
You've done a
hiding my
lot.
gray hairs really well, but
well, it appears that you've done a lot in a very short period of time.
I'm a go-getter.
Yeah, definitely driven.
My husband calls me a mover and a shaker, and he makes it sound like a bad thing. But I'm like, you know what? It's a good thing. You gotta move and shake things around, John.
That's right. So before we get into too many strategies, I'd like to lay a little bit of foundation or context for the audience about your journey. So what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced when you started writing your Ziyah in the City article for the Examiner? So what were some of the biggest challenges? Because you were going from being a teacher to now being a journalist.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's sort of connected because being a teacher, you are telling stories, right? Especially at the elementary level.
Right.
It's but writer's block, obviously. Like everybody hears about it, everybody talks about it, but you don't know it until you get it. And it's like you're sitting there and you get up 5 times to go get a different drink from the refrigerator, you go grab a snack, or you try and it's just the worst. It's the worst. But I feel like if you put yourself in a mental space that's, happy and healthy, like I found that, going and play a game of soccer. As soon as I got home, the ideas were flowing and, just getting your blood moving, getting your body moving, that was the biggest thing.
Getting out of the the area that you're in,
yeah,
where you're
like
sitting there trying to
focus.
You're thinking, right?
Yeah.
So relaxing your mind, relaxing your body, doing something else, and then the ideas will start to flow.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll brag a little bit. As a 2-time #1 best-selling author and someone that creates copy for
a
living, I know what writer's blocker is.
There you go.
So it's all about just taking yourself out of
Yeah.
the experience or doing different techniques that's going to help you be able to
eat a whole
write
cheesecake.
something. Well,
That's what I
I
would
could
do.
eat a whole cheesecake, but it's probably not the best
Been
thing.
there, done that.
It's not the best thing for me to do. So, did being a writer make you a better storyteller?
Oh, for sure, hands down. Because the best way to convey your story, I think one of the best ways is to write, because you don't have any time constraints. You don't, like when you're for instance doing a segment, well, you've got 2 minutes and 50 seconds and you got to be bang 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 and you're done. But writing, you get to put everything on paper, and it's like it's your canvas. Paint it.
Did you find there was a direct correlation between how much your column was consumed and the better your story was?
I think that it just depends, because it was more of like a community paper that I started off writing for, right? So it was a lot of community stories. So people who were interested in the community were obviously reading the community papers. So it was kind of geared towards that. But that's what I love. I love the city of Edmonton. This is my city, born and raised here. I bleed copper and blue, and it was fun for me to share Edmonton stories with Edmontonians. It's an easy fix, right?
So when you would write an article, would you then do anything for distributing or getting on Twitter, engaging with people about the actual article itself?
Oh, for sure. I mean, everybody that was involved in the article, for instance, was, a part of it in some shape or form, and they shared it on their social media. The Examiner the Sun Media put it up for me. Social media was just starting to, get hot.
What year
in a sense.
was this?
That must have been about 7 years ago now.
Okay.
So it was still, growing and stuff like that. But I'm always on my phone. I always love to be in constant. I'm a people person, right? So I love to be in constant contact with people. So yeah, I was definitely getting it out as much as I could. It was really cool when my mom's coworkers or my neighbors would, cut up the little columns, and then I'd go over for lunch and see it on their fridge. Like that really means something to me, that people are actually like enjoying it.
So what would you, from a strategy point of view, what would you actually do to get more engagement after you wrote the article? What would you do to get more engagement from people or to expose the article to more people?
Social media.
Specifically.
So Facebook, Twitter, I think Instagram was just getting started off. Even like a simple taking a screenshot of the article and texting it out to your friends. It's as easy as that. You know what I mean? And it's as easy as, they distributed the paper, right? Distribution is huge. Now everything's online, but distribution online, right? Like sending out a mass email to your friends and family, who will then forward it to their 50 people, who will then forward it to their 50 cousins, and, kind of like that. Just getting those initial kind of copies out.
So other than the distribution part, what type of engagement or what type of interaction would you have with the people? If they're helping you share it or they're commenting, would you be engaging with every single person?
Every single person, John. Since day one, I have, that's been super important to me. Engage with everybody. Everybody who sends a comment to you, negative or positive, take it and respond.
Okay.
Be classy, be grateful, and just be humble. and respond. It takes 30 seconds of your day to send an email back saying thank you.
So I can hear the questions coming in now. So how do you actually do that to scale? So once you start, I mean, you're at just under 10,000 Twitter followers right now.
And I still do it.
And once you know, imagine there's 100,000 Twitter followers or 1 million Twitter followers. How do you actually do that and be effective to scale?
Well, you try and do it as best as I can. I still try to keep up. Like after my daughter's in bed and my husband's in bed and everybody, the dogs are sleeping, it's my kind of time to be on social media. And I literally go through every single tweet and every single message and I get to as many as I can. And if I don't, then it's as simple as clicking like or favorite. Favorite.
At least acknowledging
At least I've
them.
seen it. You know, at least they feel like I've seen it.
Yeah.
And yeah, acknowledgement is huge.
Excellent. So Ziyah, when the opportunity came to have your own segment on Breakfast TV, what were your thoughts? I mean, was there fear? Was there excitement, anticipation? Because a lot of people, you know, were driven by fear. Like there's a lot of fear in a lot of us. A lot of people won't even do a show like this because they're afraid to be on camera. They don't like the way they look or whatever.
It's not that bad.
So what were your first thoughts?
My first thoughts were, wow. Because for me, that's what I had been working for.
That's what you told your mom at age 5.
That's what I told my mom.
Mom, you're going to watch me on TV
You're going to watch
someday.
me on TV. And you know what she says to me? Get a real job, Ziyah. And so I got a real job. I taught, right? I was a teacher. That's a real job. And somehow I still landed myself a gig on TV. So I was super grateful, I guess. Gratitude was also excitement, gratitude. I proved that I could do it, which is, I think, why I got the opportunity.
Okay. So what were some of the biggest lessons? Because you're going from a teaching and journalism, and now you're going to be in front of a camera. You're going to be a reporter on TV for the entertainment section. So what are some of the tips or challenges that you had? What did advice did people give you when you first started out? Because you had not had, did you have any media training at all?
Nope.
So they said, here's a mic.
I mean, I sat in front of the mirror with my brush every morning and was like, all right, here's Ziyah here live. And, you know, if that's training. Or I sing in the shower.
I think that's just about every kid as they're growing up.
Brutally honest. But no, I didn't actually have any professional training. But in this industry, I believe that being in the industry is your professional training. Because being on TV, you need to have a personality. You know, you need to have some oomph, a little oomph in your step. And that's not something you can learn at school, to be honest, right? That's something that you're born. You're either you got it or you don't, right? And so I think that was the best part of this, was learning as I went, learning to be natural, learning to be myself. Because a lot of people think, oh, I got to put it on for the TV, right? Well, I'm a nutball on camera and I'm a nutball off camera. So
same personality.
Either way, you know. So being yourself, being genuine, being expressive, which I clearly am very expressive. Like those kinds of things were very helpful. Just, you know, be yourself.
So was there some things that you were doing that they said, oh, you shouldn't do that? Or were there things that you weren't doing? They said, oh, you need to be doing this?
Oh, for sure. And we'll get into that, I think, with the tips too. But things with my speech, like saying, and I still do it to this day.
I watched my shows after the fact, and it's like, I'm going to count how many times
You got an jar.
Yeah.
There's another toonie.
Where, you know, if a lot of stuff's not scripted out, if I don't do this in advance, then it's
anxiety.
I just did it.
Strikes, right?
I just did it.
Anxiety.
It's not anxiety. You're just I'm searching for the words.
Yes.
You're not sure exactly what to say.
Yeah.
You know the path you're going to take, but you're not exactly sure of what words you need to say or how to say it. So.
Yeah. But it's not as bad. Being on camera is, you know, a lot of people are fearful of it. It's not bad. It's fun. It's like, put yourself, my mom always used to tell me, pretend that everyone's in their underwear.
I think that's what everybody tells everybody.
And you're there, and you know, you're just talking to yourself in the mirror. You're just having a conversation with a friend or colleague.
So were you interviewing people, or you were scheduled to interview people and they were fearful of being on camera?
Oh, no.
Everyone that you ever had to
Actually, that's not
interview?
true. For entertainment, obviously they're born for the stage.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of news interviews that I did, a lot of people weren't used to it, right? Like we deal a lot with communications people in certain departments that are prepped for camera, but there's a lot of people, like if we're doing a news story on the street, right? Like the neighbors of a tragedy or something like that, they're not exactly comfortable being on camera.
So
right?
is there anything, would you have to do any coaching before you went live, just in that moment?
Yeah, for sure. You know, things like counting down for them. I find a conversation prior really helps, because if you're a warm person and people can feel that, and people can feel like you're there for them, you're supporting them, and you're a friend essentially, that really makes it easier for them. Like, it really helps them open up, and it really helps them, you know, feel comfortable.
Right.
So like, you know, give them a hug without giving them a hug, you know, like talk to them, befriend them, encourage them, and say, you know, it's going to be super easy. And it is a piece of cake once you get the hang of it, right?
Well, I've been interviewed several times on TV. I've been in radio several times. And I think the easiest thing is I just forget that there's a camera there. Yeah. Because it's typically, if it's a one-on-one conversation, typically even as the host, the only time I look at the camera, or supposed to look at the camera, is when I'm actually talking to the audience.
Yes.
Or I have to look there to read my notes. Right. Because I don't have
your prompter.
I don't have like my notes over there. Like, a lot of people don't have the never been behind the scenes of a real TV station or what it actually takes. But, you know, everything is scripted. Everything, you know, wherever I look, you know, typically there would be a prompter over there where I would be able to see my notes, as well as if I'm looking at the camera. Right. I don't have that elaborate setup here, so I have to look that way in order to...
and it's intimidating for some people too, right, who've never been on a set or something like that. I can definitely see, you know, how people would get, but it's a piece of cake. You can do it, guys. You can do it. So
I think it was about a year ago, the TV station changed its format, getting rid of breakfast TV. And it was around that time you started working for The Bounce. Right. So now you're transitioning from TV to radio. So what is the biggest difference, besides not needing makeup or getting dressed up every day?
That was the best part. I could like sleep in for an extra hour, stroll into work 10 minutes before, be in my pajamas. I was pregnant at the time, right? So I could have my bagel in one hand and, you know, coffee dripping down my face.
Nobody's going to notice.
I was a real mess, I'm sure. But okay, so what was the transition like?
Yeah, what was the transition like? What were some of the biggest challenges that you were faced in that transition? Or were there any challenges? Was it just easy?
It was definitely, I'm not going to say easy, because nothing's ever easy. You always got to put, you know, I'm always a firm believer of putting your 100% into it. So there's got to be some kind of challenge you got to work on. And I think for me, mostly it was just learning the difference of delivery. Right? Because on TV, you can see, your audience can see you, you can see them. I'm a very expressive person. I talk with my hands a lot, my little jazz hands.
So were you doing a lot of that on the radio too?
I do. To this day, I'm like, you know, I'm getting excited, go, others go, and everyone's like walking by the studio like, what is Ziyah doing? And I'm just like, you know, going crazy. But that's me, right? And they can't see me. But if I'm doing this, it's coming out in my voice, right? Like if I'm getting all riled up, then they can hear the riled up. So
the emotion comes out.
Yes.
That's when you smile.
Yeah.
If you smile when you talk, people can actually almost hear your smile.
Hear your smile, and that's what listeners say all the time. Is like, we can hear your smile, and that's like, okay, I've done a good job, because they can. So I think the biggest was learning to still be expressive, but in a different way almost, right? Like learning how to still have my hand gestures and be spunky, but getting it like across on air versus the TV part.
So I'm assuming there's a different dynamic than TV, in the sense that you, in TV you have somebody talking in your ear. You have them directing you, telling you what to do.
I call him the Wizard of Oz.
constantly telling you.
Puppeteer, telling us what to do.
So there's not a whole lot of dead air. So, but in radio, there's nobody telling you what to do. You're in a booth by yourself, typically, unless you have a co-host. Yeah. You're in a booth by yourself, so you have to be very conscious.
Yes,
so
were
you conscious about your dead air space?
Oh, at the beginning, for sure. I was, I was typing up my scripts ahead of time, and you're not supposed to script in radio because it's supposed to be, but I'm like you, right? I'm worried. I was worried. I'm like, okay, I've never done this before. Like, I need to have my backup. And so I would type out my little breaks, and essentially that's what I started off doing. But as you get used to it and as you, continue to do it, it becomes easier and easier. As long as you have an idea of what you want to talk about and something that's, relevant and current and engaging,
it just helps as well if you're up on current events.
For sure.
Especially local current events.
Social media, yeah. Like up on the news. I read the newspaper all the time. I'm still super old school. I love the smell of that crisp newspaper. It's way easier to read it when I'm like, on the train on my way. But just keeping your paws kind of.
So you don't have to. I'm sure you don't have to be worried as much, because when you're on camera, you still have to be conscious that there may be a camera pointed at you, even if nobody's talking to you. But when the music's playing, I guess there's less.
Oh, you can go to
less,
the bathroom. You can,
Is that
make
the time
yourself
when
some
you're
lunch.
maybe looking up on social
Yeah,
media? What am I going to
definitely.
talk about in the
that's
next
exactly
3 minutes?
it. That's exactly it. People calling in and texting in, giving me ideas, or answering the phone lines, right? That's when we do it, is during the music. Chatting with people, getting our voice clips ready for the next break.
So were there, in the radio, were there specific people, we'll call them mentors,
Yeah.
that have been in the business for quite some time that sort of took you under the wing, gave you a lot of tips, advice, and sort of showed you the ropes?
Well, my friend Gary, actually, he's been around in the media business for ages and ages and ages, and he was the best. Like, I started off at 2 o'clock in the morning. So my boss was like, okay, we're going to start you gradually, like get a feel for it. And he would literally get up, he would set his alarm at 2 in the morning, and he would listen to me, and he would come back with me with this big long email. As soon as my shift was over, I'd be like, okay, where's the Gary email? And it would be like, and he would give me just some tips, you know? And I found it was constructive criticism, but it was helpful. People often take criticism as a bad thing, but it was so helpful for me because I'd never done it before. I wasn't sure what I was getting myself into. Obviously, they coached me at the station, and they kind of, media's media in a sense, but having that person or a friend, whether it's a colleague or a mom or a cousin or somebody who's going to listen to you and be able to give you constructive criticism without you getting offended, that is like mint. That's the gold.
So when it comes to the radio, were there things that you were doing? They said, "Oh, you."
Oh, for sure.
What were you doing?
I was too high pitched. I was like talking like this, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so excited!"
Oh my god, that would drive me nuts. I gotta turn that radio station.
And I get to listen to myself as well too. Like, we do air checks once a month, so we go in with our boss, and she gets, and I was like, "Really, this is what I sound like? Why am I so pitchy?" So I had to kind of cool it down a little bit.
Lower your voice.
Gotta be low and deep.
That deep radio voice.
Yeah, that raspiness. But yeah, so that's something that you really have to be conscious of, is the pitch and the tone of your voice.
Excellent. Ziyah, before the show, I asked you for the top 5 things.
You gave me my homework assignment.
Gave you some homework, yeah. Top 5 things that can help someone looking to either do live streaming or create a show just like this one. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to list the 5 items.
Okay.
And I'm just going to get you to comment on each one.
Sure.
And I want you to use me as an example. So you'd have to be brutally honest.
Okay.
In what you say and comment on how I'm doing so far.
Okay. Constructive criticism.
That's
See,
right.
we're practicing.
Constructive criticism. So the first one is posture.
Posture. All right.
So being on either TV or live stream or video, give us a tip about posture.
Well, posture too, even if you're just doing audio, it plays a big part in it, right? Because if I'm slouched down like this, like I'm going to be talking like this.
Okay.
But if I'm up like this, then it gives me a little bit more oomph, like I was talking about, right? So you want to have shoulders. It's going to feel awkward, but if it feels awkward, you're doing it right. So chin up. I'm always conscious of like my 3 chins here.
Yeah, I get that too. So
makeup hides that. I'll teach you that trick in a second. But chin up. You want to have kind of like an extended neck and a little bit to the front. Like if you're reading your prompter, just like kind of do a little scoop with your chin up and over.
My coach and mentor Mike Koenig calls it like getting rid of his turkey neck.
Oh, and you totally can.
Turkey thing or whatever. You gotta stick your neck out like that.
Like a giraffe, yeah. It feels super awkward, but
so
it looks
you want to
awesome.
have
Good shoulders, yeah.
Good
like shoulders.
This.
So you got the china cup on your head, right? So you're level.
Sort of stick your neck out a little bit.
Yeah.
And one tip that I was given from a camera positioning is you want the camera either eye level or slightly above eye level.
Slightly above, yeah.
So that you're almost looking up.
Yeah.
So you don't have that like double, triple chin that I have.
For sure. We'll talk about that later in where to look, but I'll teach you some tips too about like when you're looking, why people like to get you not looking dead on at the camera.
Yeah.
So that's important too. But yeah, do the giraffe. Feels super awkward.
That's the new terminology, the giraffe. We're going to do the giraffe. Is that what they call it in the biz? We'll say the biz for lack of better.
It's what I used to call it anyways. My directors would laugh at me, but it's whatever works.
Tip number 1 is posture.
Posture.
Up straight, head out, and slightly out. So tip number 2, makeup and lighting.
Makeup and lighting. So, I mean, with different skin tones, you obviously need different shades of light, and I'm a little bit darker than you. After you come back from San Diego, I think you'll give me a run for my money. But
I'm a pale person. I don't care how much time I spend in the sun. I don't get very dark.
But lighting is super important because that's how people see you, right? And lighting can completely change you. So you want to make sure you're well lit, right? You don't want these bags under your eyes showing. And that's where makeup comes in. Yeah. So things like this is probably mostly for girls. But actually, on the show that we did, Breakfast Television, the guys wore more makeup than I did, right? So it's like, it's, I guess, a unisex kind of thing. You're going to be a cake face. You're going to feel like you're a cake face, but it's like the stage, right? The more the better. So a lot of people, I don't have time to do eyelashes and stuff like that every morning, God forbid. I'm just like trying to get my baby up in bed.
Now you don't have to worry about it. You're going to be on radio.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's going to see you?
Exactly. But, you know, things like highlighting under your eyes, like dark spots, your creases here between your nose and your outer lips, and under your brows and over your brows. So the naturally dark places of your face, you want to lighten up.
Right. So
that the light, when the light hits it,
it's sort of
bright,
uniform.
Right? Yeah, like you don't want everyone to see your bags. So you do.
So what about the guys with the receding hairlines?
You take a Sharpie marker and you just just joking. Just makeup
Like,
right
so
up to
there's
the
no
hair.
shine, so you don't want to get the shine, right?
Yeah,
So
powder.
Powder?
Is your best friend.
Okay, so what about the lighting? Like, talk about a little bit about lighting, and not from a technical standpoint, but how important is lighting when you're doing TV show?
Well, for me, it's super important, especially when it was at 4 a.m., right? Because light wakes you up, number one. It changes the look completely of the set, right? Like, I'm a firm believer, the more light, the better.
Yeah.
You can never have too much light. And, I mean, it like I said, it transforms the complete look of it. So the more light you have on you, the more awake you feel, the more studious you feel, right? Like, it's a psychological thing. And the better you look. So the more light, the better. Angles are really important. Lighting you want to have, like in the studio here, all around you, right?
So just to give you guys an idea, we have 5
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah.
5 large lights. Within each light, we have the the soft cloth over top of it. Within each light is 4 halogen lights, and they're all within arm's reach. I can almost touch every single one around us, even though it looks like we're in a big studio. We're in a green screen set. So, and we also have lighting right behind us on the floor that shines up.
And that's super important too.
And on the green screen, we have the green screen well lit. So so the image of the virtual screen or the virtual set is very uniform, as opposed to having dark and light spots. Because a lot of times, if you don't have the right lighting, if you're using green screen, then the virtual set sort of looks off. There's dark or light spots in the virtual set, and it's like...
Yeah, but I'm glad you mentioned the lights underneath, because that's really important too. You always want to have lights shining up. And your lighting should always be on an angle. It's never dead on lighting. Yeah.
So all of ours are sort of pointed down at us. We don't have any in front of us pointing up, but if I was doing just a standing monologue in front of the green screen, I would actually have one of these lights down towards the floor, pointing up underneath my face, as well as lights behind me. So lighting I think is very key.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's the second one. First one, posture. Second one, makeup, lighting. Third one is speech and where to look.
So we talked about how A.
Oh no, I have way too many U.S. friends watching the show. We don't say A on this show.
Sorry, guys. we're gonna have to figure out what their sort of meme is.
Oh, it's
what is it?
Y'all.
Yeah. Oh, y'all. Happy Thanksgiving, y'all. Right? Happy Halloween, y'all. But yeah, speech is very important. And as we were mentioning before, where to look. So when you look dead on a camera, it's usually a little bit awkward. Like if you notice different, like when you're talking to your audience, looking dead on at them is just like in TV, it's awkward. So you want to do either a little bit below, not too much below, because you don't want to be talking like this, and you don't want to be too much higher. But our prompter was maybe like, I'd say maybe about half an inch below our actual lens.
Right.
So, it looks natural, right? When you're reading, still like you're talking to them. If you're doing interviews, have the person look at you, right? Like, talk to me, you know this trick. Have the person look at you, it's more personal, and have your camera shoot from a different angle. Gives you more shots, right? Gives you variety.
If you have the ability.
For sure.
For a lot of people that are just doing the Facebook Live show, they can only use one camera.
One camera, yeah. But have your interviewer or your interviewee engage with you. You know, it's more personal. It's and it's a different shot from the same camera, right? They're seeing a different side of you. I'm always a strong believer of that. Like, whenever I did an interview, I said, okay, look at me, not the camera.
Yeah. every time I did an interview with a host, I always just looked at them.
Yeah.
It's so much easier.
Yeah.
I don't even pay attention to the camera.
Makes you forget, right?
The reason I look at the camera here is because we're acknowledging the actual audience
and
right now.
that's huge. When you're acknowledging your audience, acknowledge them with a smile or a laugh or a wink or, and be engaging. But try not to look dead on at the camera. I find that it's just like a little bit awkward. If you're just looking a little bit down or a little bit to the side or a little bit around, it feels more authentic.
Yeah, fortunately, I don't have that issue because I have a big screen TV behind the camera, so I'm looking past the camera at the TV, just at my show notes. So, so that's speech and where to look. How about number 4, clothing?
Clothing. So a big thing is patterns. Are you aware of this one?
Yes.
So that'll
don't wear
throw.
them.
Yes, there you go. I can't tell you how many times I went into work and they're like, "Okay, Ziyah, that's not going to work." Do you have a backup outfit?
I was gonna say because you're not the normal size. You're like 0 or something.
Oh, I'm super tiny. Yeah, I can.
Children's
fit
shop.
into-
Shopping.
I
in
can
the
get away with a
shoulders.
size 14. Don't put that on the record. But yeah, I mean, we had a clothing sponsor. Like a lot of people have clothing sponsors and you don't really have a choice of what to wear. But you go in telling them, patterns, it just throws the camera off. The camera goes fuzzy, green. If you're on a green screen and you're wearing green, you're a floating head. Yeah. Because the green blends into the green, right?
I have an aqua colored shirt that I wear typically when I do speak from stage.
Yeah.
In a lot of my shots, I'm wearing that aqua colored shirt. It's one shirt that I can't wear on this show because I use the green screen most of the time.
Yeah.
So if I'm not using a green screen, then I'll actually wear that one. But my good friend Andy Lockwood, he likes to make comments when I'm wearing my fuchsia shirt.
Oh, your fuchsia shirt.
My fuchsia shirt.
Real boys wear pink. That's my motto.
There you go, Andy. So that's clothing.
Yep.
And the 5th and final tip is voice training, how to speak on TV versus radio. So there's some differences.
Oh, for sure. I mean, like I said, being really aware of your pitchiness and your tone on radio is super, super important because you don't want to sound like that annoying girl, right? Or that annoying boy or, that annoying radio DJ. Yeah. You want to sound authentic. You want to sound fun. You want to be expressive. So there's a very thin line between expressive and over the top as well too, right? So you want to be, I find that hand gestures, I know maybe it's just a personal thing, but if I'm talking with my hands, the words flow easier and I'm able to be more expressive, and I'm a very facially expressive person.
Comes out in your voice.
Yeah. So it's like I'm a very facially expressive person. So on TV, that's perfect, right? Because people will look at her and they'll be like, "Oh, she's so animated. She's crazy." But I mean,
Princess Jasmine.
Exactly.
So animated.
But on the radio, it's harder to get across, right? So that's just to be aware of how you're coming across and listen to yourself. Watch yourself. You know that, right? Try a few different things, see if they work. Eye contact as well too helps if you're talking to your audience, if you're talking to, So just try a few different things and constructive criticism. Watch it over, listen to it, and you'll know what
Okay,
works.
so you only so you didn't really use me as an example in a lot of these cases.
Oh, right. All right.
So posture.
Posture. All right. So remember our shoulders back, our belly's out.
So how belly's out. My
These big
belly's always out.
These big Halloween bellies and the giraffe. So a little bit up.
Throughout the course of the show, how I've been doing.
Pretty good,
How
yeah.
have I been doing?
You're trying to be closer to my level, which is good because I'm like all the way down here. So if you could stretch down a little bit, that would be awesome. We could be, head to head.
I should have lowered my chair a little bit.
Yeah, that's the trick. Or I could have sat on some phone books. See, tricks, phone
got
books.
lots of books over there. We could have taken from the bookshelf.
I actually did an interview with George Laroque, and they literally had me standing on a ladder because he's like 7 feet tall, right? And I'm barely 5 feet. So aesthetically, it looked cool, but gave me some height.
So for all of you non-hockey fans,
oh yes,
George Laroque is a very famous hockey player that played here for the Edmonton Oilers for many years. So the lighting is good here?
The lighting is good, yeah. Lots of light coming up from the back, which is super important, and they're all on
I have no makeup on, though.
John, we got to get you into Sephora, man. We'll book you an appointment.
So speech and where I'm looking. So throughout the show,
yeah.
Have you heard too many ums and ahs?
No, it's been good.
And I've been keeping eye contact.
Yeah, that's really important.
Except when I actually have to look at my notes.
For sure.
Or
talk to your audience. Definitely,
and you notice we do the hands gesture when we talk to our audience?
Because we love you.
And clothing? No patterns?
No, you're awesome. Yeah,
Dressed
you're good.
well?
People have this thing against black. Black looks great on camera. It's very sharp.
Yep.
Very sharp looking.
So voice training. So I have very,
Oh, you have a deep and burrowy voice, the perfect voice for radio.
I got the perfect face for radio.
I hate when people say that to me. They give me a hard time all the time. They're like, "Of course you went to radio. You have a perfect face for radio." I'm like, "Shut up."
Excellent. So those are the 5 tips that you can incorporate into your live casting, and actually even when you're doing your podcasting. So just remember those tips, and you'll create and produce a better quality product. So before the show, you also shared with me 6 tips for distributing and engaging with your followers or audience. So I'd like to go through each tip one at a time and have you give your comments on each one, okay?
Okay, perfect.
So the first one is connect with your audience.
So that to me means taking time for them. Your audience is super important. They're your supporters, they're your fans, they're your followers. You need to build a strong connection with them so that they continue to follow you, right? Because if you don't, then you lose them. As soon as you lose.
How proactive are you as opposed to reactive? Reactive mean somebody comments on something you say or do, and then you're reacting to their comment. How proactive are you with just on following your followers, following people that follow you, and just commenting on their stuff?
Well, I like to pay attention to that kind of thing, and as I mentioned, after everybody's sleeping in my household, that's my time to kind of go through, and I'll keep a mental note. Like my mom always told me I had a memory like an elephant, because I love people. I take interest in people, right? So if I see that one of my followers is really into chocolate, well, the next chocolate meme I see, I send their way, right? Because it's just like a little reminder that, Ziyah thinks about me. She saw that this was my interest and she sent me this, so just little things like that, and they mean the world to somebody, right? Like if somebody's taking time out of their day for you, that's special, right? Whether it's 30 seconds or 30 minutes, it's still time taken out of my day and my busy schedule for them.
And acknowledging them.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Paying attention to their likes and dislikes and interests and showing interest in them.
Okay, so the next one, social media. So talk about the different ones.
Huge.
Do you have specific strategies?
Okay, so Instagram, I hands down is my favorite because it's so easy. It's just a photo, right? And you get to write whatever you want and all the hashtags, right? So I use hashtags galore on Instagram. Hashtag, because that's how people search for different things, right? So that's something to really keep in mind. Twitter is good because a lot of news-related things come through Twitter, and a lot of, things are virally, I think, started on Twitter, and then they make their way to Instagram memes and stuff like that. So Twitter is a good kind of way to initially get stuff out. Facebook, there's a thin line, so I like to keep it all professional in terms of like work and stuff like that, because I have a lot of listeners, and I was like, I'm never gonna post pictures of my baby, and I'm never gonna.
I saw pictures of your baby yesterday.
How can I not? And you know what?
I know, she's a cute baby.
You know what though? That's given them another way to connect with me, because they see me as Ziyah, Media Ziyah, but now they see me as Mom Ziyah, right? So the moms that are listening to me and watching me can now relate and say, you know what? And
you can talk about things that they can relate with now.
Exactly. So it worked to my advantage. Don't ever do that again. Like I will never do that again. Don't keep it just strictly business. Incorporate different, if you're a soccer player, if you're a volleyball player, if you love to bake cakes, show people that.
I find that I get equal or more engagement on my personal stuff
for sure
than I do my business, because I'm a very professional appearance person when it comes to all the social media, because it's a lot of it's a strategy and you're using it for business purposes, but
the more relatable you are.
But when I posted, I was at the Oilers game in the new Rexall, and I actually did a Facebook Live video as I'm walking around
people love it.
The concourse, because my friend who moved to the Philippines, he wanted to know what the new arenas looked like. So I did a Facebook Live, and I actually walked the entire arena, and I chatted with him as he was watching. Then
how cool is
next
that?
thing I know, 10 people are watching the video and interacting with it. So it was more a personal thing than a professional thing.
So show your personal side. Don't be scared of that, because you never know who's going to connect to that.
Okay, so number 3, stay current.
So like we mentioned,
topics and platforms.
So we mentioned staying on top of news. Right now, the presidential election. God forbid I even said that.
No.
I told myself I would never say it.
We may get some comments from the peanut gallery in the U.S. about the presidential election, but
I mean, like, staying current, right, with things that are going on, especially if your show is local, stay local. If your show is international, be aware of everything that's going on, because you don't want to just talk locally to people who are living halfway across the world, right? Like how we said George Laroque, things like that. You want things to be more generic and understandable. And in terms of platforms, we were talking about Snapchat. That's huge right now. Everybody and their dog has Snapchat.
I have it, but I have no idea how to use it.
It's so easy. It's genius.
All right, so,
how did we not come up with this? I don't know.
So you'll come on another show and just teach us Snapchat?
Deal.
I tried to get some 15-year-olds on, but they're too afraid to be on camera. So I was like, okay, I got to find someone that knows how to use Snapchat.
It's literally as easy as taking a photo, putting a funny filter on it, and sending it out to your network.
And we'll actually figure out how to get engagement or how to get followers, because that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Is getting people to follow you and being able to tell a story in a very short period of time.
That's what we talked about, right? Yeah.
So varied content. Okay,
so we just touched on that a little bit before, but having
personal, professional.
Yeah. And having something for everybody, right? Something that strikes a chord with everybody. Talking about being mom, right? It strikes a chord with moms out there. Talking about being a radio personality strikes a chord for the guy who DJs on the weekend and does wedding gigs, right? So being multifaceted, dipping your toes into kind of anything you can get them into. I'm always a strong believer in that. There's so much to learn and there's so much to share.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And if you're using it for business purposes, doing that, but always keeping in the back of your mind your ideal target market and, bringing some attention and some awareness to them, even if you're talking about personal stuff, just always thinking about, because,
how can it relate?
This show is to entrepreneurs, business owners, authors, experts, speakers. So it's really about helping us grow our business. For sure. We all realize there's a personal side, but a lot of us use these platforms for strategy. So keeping that in mind when you're delivering your content as well. Number 5 is confidence.
Okay, so this one's tricky, John, because there is a thin line between arrogance and confidence. Okay, and I mean confidence. Be humble, but be confident in yourself. Believe in yourself. Tell yourself that you can do it, because you can. Look at me. I'm literally a teacher. I have no education in any sort of media, and people always ask me, like, how did you land that gig? Because I believed in myself and I had confidence. But when it starts to veer towards the side of arrogance, that's when you start to create haters and, probably trolls, I think is the correct term on the internet. There's going to be trolls everywhere. But I mean,
actually, in doing some research on you this morning, which is I do research on everybody, I found some trolls on you. Yeah,
there's people out there. But I mean, if you're arrogant, then that's going to attract them more, right? That's going to attract people. People want to relate. People want to be, talking.
Yeah, they want that personality to be just like them. Relatable, in a lot of cases.
Yeah, exactly.
And the last and final thing is make people laugh.
Yes, that's one of the most important things I think you can do, is just be cheerful, be bubbly, be a positive ball of energy, and be the Tasmanian devil, just take that positive energy wherever you go and spread the good vibes.
That's much easier for an extrovert than it is for someone like myself. I'm a very proud introvert.
Have a couple of beers, you'll be fine.
I'm still not the Tasmanian devil. Well, Ziyah, that's all the time that we have for today. I personally want to thank you for coming in. It was such a pleasure for having me. Hopefully everyone was able to get some value out of today's show in the tips when it comes to being on camera, as well as doing your podcast show.
We should do a makeup tutorial. I could literally bring my makeup here and show you guys how to do it.
Can do that too. We can do that too.
Ideas are spinning.
Everyone, thanks for being on the show. Definitely hit the like button, love button. Be sure to share this video with all your friends on your on your Facebook page. Ziyah, it's been a pleasure having you here. It's great chatting. I really look forward to connecting with you in the real near future, and definitely having you back on. I need to learn how to use Snapchat.
Got it.
And apparently I need makeup tips. So
just a little powder.
So that's it for today's show. I just want to thank everybody for joining us, and just stick around. I'll be back in just a minute for the closing remarks.
See you guys.
Thanks a lot. Well, thanks for joining me on today's John A. McCabe Show, where we work with entrepreneurs, business owners, authors, experts, and speakers, get seen, get heard, get noticed anywhere, anytime, on any device. Now, also known as the Authority Acceleration Blueprint. Now, if you're someone who's looking to take your business to the next level and want to get some coaching advice, why not apply to be a guest on today's show? Now, for most entrepreneurs, we want to create a life of our own, create our own path, and do what we can to reach our own desired outcome, which is generally freedom. Freedom to choose what we want to do, when we want to do it, and with whom we want to do it. A life that's full of options and choices, where we worry less about money and more about the quality of time that we spend with others. Now, a great way to make that happen is to leverage other people's knowledge, time, and skill sets. Step one to reaching our freedom life is to realize that you can't do it alone. Working with a coach or being involved in masterminds is a great way for entrepreneurs to move their business forward. Now, a coach can help you shorten the time frame to get you from where you are to where you want to be, while being part of a mastermind is meant to bring entrepreneurs together, all with the goal of helping each other move forward with their business. Now, the second step to creating the life you envision for yourself as an entrepreneur is to implement systems into your business so you can streamline your operations, leverage systems, and free up your time to focus on your family, having fun, and the highest leverage activities in your business. You know, the activities that get you the biggest return on your time invested, the ones that truly make you money. Now, sometimes we just don't know what systems we need, how to implement those systems, or even have the time to find out what is needed. Now, working with a coach or consultant that understands, uses, and specializes in systems that can streamline your operations can help save you time, aggravation, and make you a lot more money. Now, for example, having a system or strategy that allows you to leverage just 15 hours of your time into enough repurposed content to get you seen, get you heard, get you noticed anywhere, anytime, on any device is a great example of leverage. Now, just imagine a system where you invest just 15 hours of your time, and the end result is you're a #1 best-selling author. You have enough content that's going to get you seen, get you heard, get you noticed anywhere, anytime, on any device. You have a successful podcast. Now, it's automatically attracting more attention, giving more value, and generating more leads, which enables you to attract an abundance of paying customers. Now, this is also known as the Authority Acceleration Blueprint. Now, to find out more about the Authority Acceleration Blueprint coaching program or mastermind, then contact me via my website at johnamccabe.com or connect with me through my show's Facebook page. Now, again, thank you for joining us on today's show, and I look forward to seeing you on tomorrow's show when I have another great guest on discussing their business and accelerating their authority. So have yourself an amazing day, and I look forward to seeing you again real soon.